Hello, and welcome to our Healthy Lifestyle Program webinar. We are going to be presenting on Appreciative Inquiry today, featuring my colleague, fellow board certified health and wellness coach, Anthony Montoya. I'm just going to orient us to the webinar with a couple of opening items, sharing my screen for a moment. This webinar will be 45 to 60 minutes, depending on the time frame of the Q&A, how many questions. Will run about 45 to maximum 60 minutes, definitely wrapping up by 4 p.m. This webinar will be recorded. Your video and audio are off and cannot be connected. And we encourage you to ask questions through the Q&A feature or by sending a chat to the hosts and panelists. You can do this throughout the webinar, and we'll also call for questions after the presentation. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to my colleague, Anthony, to present on Appreciative Inquiry.
All right. Hello, everyone. Nice to have you all here today. So what I'm going to do is going to share my screen. So as you all know, we are here today to talk about appreciative inquiry. It's about generating positive actions and outcomes. So I'm so excited to present this to you today, and hopefully you'll take away some tidbits to be able to utilize for yourself going forth. So before we get started, I just want to go over what we'll be covering today. So of course, we'll be talking about what is appreciative inquiry, the 5 principles of AI, it's shorter for us, intro to the 5D cycle of AI, and the 5D cycle broken down. So we're going to take it and break it down for you all. And then, of course, we're going to end with important things to remember, and then any questions or answers that you have about the topic at hand or any questions you have going forth. So before we get started, of course, we want to talk about what is appreciative inquiry. So appreciative inquiry is an approach for motivating change and enhancing well-being that focuses on exploring and amplifying the best of yourself and your situation. AR starts with the presumption that all is possible and then uses the 5D cycle to help make it happen, thus elevating both self-esteem and self-efficacy. AI encourages to acknowledge strengths and imagine possibilities to rise above any situation. It is a valuable tool to energize, motivate, and mobilize towards behavior change. In addition, it is also a perspective that invites us to see ourselves through an appreciative eye. AI does not focus on weaknesses or problem fixing. We are made aware that we use our language, how we ask questions, and what stories we tell shape our own collective destinies. And so remember, as we're going through this, it starts with the presumption that anything is possible. It's a little bit different. So now what we're going to do is going to go through the 5 principles of the philosophy of AI. So the core principles of AI, which describe the basic tenets of the underlying AI philosophy, were developed in the early 1900s. So what we're going to do is we are briefly going to list the 5 principles and then dive into each one in the following slides. So we're going to start from the bottom, which is the positive attention in the present. This is called the poetic principle. Next is the positive attention of the future. This is the anticipatory principle. Next is going to be the positive questions and reflections. This is the spontaneity principle. Next is going to be the positive conversations and interactions. This is called the constructionist principle. You don't have to remember each one, just remember each idea of each philosophy. Next is the positive energy and emotion. This is called the positive principle, and it all leads up to the positive actions and outcomes. So each philosophy will feed to the very top of this triangle. So now let's take a deep dive into each principle. So the first one is a positive attention in the present. This is the poetic principle. So it's the base of the pyramid on which all other principles are built upon. It connects hopes with mindfulness and intention with attention. The topics or subjects we choose to put our attention to are fateful in a sense they not only determine what we learn, but they actually create it. The main idea here is what we focus on grows. So what we focus on grows is part of the base of this pyramid. Through an appreciative lens, we constantly seek out which we want more of. We focus on solutions and outcomes we wish to create. So next is going to be positive attention of the future. Remember, this is the anticipatory principle. This asserts that positive energy and emotion form a dynamic force for transformational change. This principle reminds us that when we envision a positive future, we are more likely to positively and guide ourselves into that positive future. Here, the main idea is when you believe it, you see it. So when you believe it, you see it. When we hold a dream that inspires, we are mobilized towards that future. The next one is positive questions and reflections. So it's conversations and interactions become positive. The instant we ask a question that is positive, tell a positive story, or share a positive reflection, it guides us toward a positive future or a goal. This principle states that inquiry and change are simultaneous events. The way we ask questions will determine what we find. It involves the art of crafting and asking questions that elicit possibility and inspire hopeful images of the future. Next is going to be positive conversations and interactions. This is the constructionist principle. This is the positive energy and emotions are generated. This is done through positive conversations and our interactions with others, leading to positive actions and outcomes. The main idea here is words create worlds. So the words that we create the world around us. We see the world we describe. When we describe it, we create a distinctions that govern our actions. It makes clear the importance of social context and environment in creating the present moment and changing future moments. Next is going to be the positive energy and emotion. This is the positive principle. Asserts that positive energy and emotion form a dynamic force for transformational change. This is where building aspirations is oneself toward a dynamic force for transformational change. The main idea here is when we feel positive, we are more likely to act positive. So when we feel positive, we're more likely to act positive in the world. Being able to experience positive emotions is the foundation for strengthening our general sense of well-being, thereby nurturing and caring relationships and increasing energy and vitality. So you're like, okay, so how do I take all this information and pump it into daily life and how to use it? So now we will go into the 5D cycle. So now that we've covered the 5 principles of AI, we will now look to discover the 5D cycle, which will help us take those principles of positivity and use them to achieve goals or work toward a positive future. So the 5D cycle is a tried and tested base development and strategic planning tool that is great for harnessing passion and commitment for the person using it. And we utilize it in coaching a lot during our sessions with patients or clients. The 5Ds are cyclical and you can refer backwards and forwards around the cycle throughout the whole process. It can be used to guide a conversation in a change effort. It serves as a framework for personal development. Whatever the purpose, the 5D cycle serves as the foundation on which change is built. So let's take a look at it. This is going to be the 5D cycle. So like the 5 principles that we discussed, we will briefly go over what makes the 5D cycle and then dive into each category. Remember, this is a guide to help you through transformational processes to meet your goals or help develop a positive future. So first, I would like to address the positive core. So you'll see that in the middle. Everything in the 5D cycle circles around a positive core, which we'll talk about in the next slide. But first, the first D in the cycle is define. This is the aspiring, focusing, and the framing. Next is discover. This is recognizing and valuing and celebrating. Next is dream, imagining, calling, and embodying. And then as we go around, we're next to the design. It's the brainstorming, aligning, and choosing. And then next we end with destiny, experimenting, learning, and integrating. And like I said, you can go backwards and forwards in this process. And it all revolves around the positive core of the 5D cycle. So let's take a look at each part of the 5D cycle. So first, we will discover the positive core. But before we do, let's briefly talk about what positivity is and how it leads to positive behavioral change. So what is positivity and how does it lead to behavioral change? Positivity is looking for solutions and expecting good results and success. In behavior change, it helps you cope more easily with daily affairs of life, brings optimism, and makes it easier to avoid worries and negative thinking. So what is the positive core that is in the center of the 5D cycle? It is the collective strengths and capabilities and existing assets that help build the future. It is where the whole person has an opportunity to value its history and embrace transitioning into a positive possibilities. So now that we've seen the positive in the positive core, we will now go over each D in the 5D cycle. So we are now going to discuss define. Remember, this is the clarifying. This is what is the focus? It can be a topic or a goal you would like to work on. Asking, what is the focus? It can be plain and simple, or what is the most important topic or goal you would like to work on? So we have our define, and now let's go into discover. In the discovery phase, it's where we focus on peak times of excellence in our life. So it's appreciating, it's what gives life. Discovery phase is finding promising examples of your desired outcomes, both past and the present. In AI, it makes the presumption that in every person's life and situation, some things are always working, even though they may be buried and need to be under earth. So there's always something that could be working, even if it's an opportunity or problem you don't feel that is coming to fruition just yet. It is also where we take a look at unique factors that make up our core processes, our structures, our values, learning processes, external relationships, planning methods, and so on. So in the discovery phase, it's a lot, but hopefully we can break it down by the 4 discoveries. So the first one is the best experience. It's looking at things through an appreciative frame and lights of curious wonder. Doesn't sound great. It's asking, what was the best experience in this area? What made it exciting? Who was there? Describe this experience in the best detail that you can. Next is core values. It's delivering on your own promise to your own values and going beyond them. What are the things you most value deeply? Things about yourself, your relationships, and your work. Who are you when you're at your best? Next is the generative conditions. It's looking at the larger dynamics of your life rather than the immediate goal or task. It's what at the core is life-giving factors in your experience, both internal and external. Next is the 3 wishes. What are your hopes and dreams? If you found a magic lamp and a genie were to grant you 3 wishes, what would they be? Pretty exciting and pretty fun to actually do the 3 wishes. It's one of my favorites. So the purpose of these discoveries, remember, is to boost the energy and strengthen self-efficacy. This lays the foundation for confidence. This is where appreciation is alive. So now that we have discovered, let's go into dreaming. So now this is dreaming. So envisioning what might be. Once you have discovered what is, it is time to move on to envision the best of what might be. It's taking the imagining possibilities for the future that have been generated through the discovery phase to amplify the positive core. This is where your true potential is expanded. And this, of course, begins by asking some questions. It's asking, what is life calling you to be or become by achieving this goal or future? What are the possibilities generate excitement for you? What is the positive core that supports you? And remember, thinking of possibilities by thinking outside the box without regard of consequences. It's really about dreaming and understanding that there may be consequences, but we're not going to really focus on that right now because we're in the dream phase. Next, we're going to go into the design. So the design phase, this is the co-constructing. How can it be? This is the process or goal phase. It's time to give your dream legs, okay? Where you make proposals and set goals to how the dream would manifest itself in terms of habits, procedures, resources, relationships, and finances. It's asking, what would shift if everything was aligned with your dream? What is a commitment you are ready to make? It is important to make the design phase as detailed and as personal as possible. The design phase is key to sustaining positive change and responding to your most positive past and highest potential. Next is going to be the destiny. The destiny phase represents the conclusion of the discovery, dream, and design phases, and the beginning of ongoing creation of appreciative learning. So the destiny is innovating what will be. Ultimately, the purpose of AI is to elevate both the positive energy and self-efficacy of oneself to assist in realizing your dreams. It's an action process that makes dreams come true and makes dreaming intrinsic to the way of being in the world. By developing an appreciative eye, we learn to make the 5D cycle a preferred approach to problems and opportunities to fulfill your destinies and goals. So we're going to look at the 5D cycle one more time so you can see it all together. And remember, the 5Ds are cyclical, and you can refer both backwards and forwards around the cycle throughout the process. It's a framework for personal positive development. AI emphasizes life-giving experiences, core values, generative conditions, and heartfelt wishes as it energizes people to make new contributions and to express new ways of being in the world. We focus on the positive. And I would love to leave you with a couple more things to remember. So these are some things that I feel that are most important to remember about AI. You have what it takes to succeed. I know it's hard to hear sometimes, but you do. You have what it takes to succeed. It's in there, but it's utilizing this process. You can find a way and find it true to yourself. Using appreciative inquiry to handle self-sabotage. We've all been there. We all think things. And so self-sabotage can creep up. And utilizing this tool in your coaching processes or within your own daily life, it can handle some of the self-sabotage that we speak to ourselves. Stay in the positive frame. Always coming back to a positive frame will help you negate any negative framework within this construct. Remember, it is trial and correction, not trial and error. It's not win, lose, it's win and learn. Every problem, every failure, anything, we can always learn to fail forward. Everything has its own learning. And as you remember, it's not trial and correction. It's trial and correction, not trial and error. And remember, knowledge is success. Even the small successes is success. So in addition, remember that your destiny is to learn to experiment, innovate, and improvise. So you can take bigger and bolder and better action in the service of your dreams and goals. So in conclusion, AI is a valuable tool for energizing, motivating, and mobilizing towards behavior change. It starts with the presumption that anything is possible. All right, so we're going to jump to any Q&A you may have. And I'll
Thank
toss
you
it over
so
to
much,
Katie.
Anthony, for that overview. We're going to go into our questions. So I'm just going to remind everybody that you can send a question. Let me actually just share my screen again for a reminder here. You can ask questions through the Q&A feature or by setting a chat to host and panelist. Okay, so we're going to start off with our first question that's come in. What is the difference between solving a problem and appreciative inquiry?
Yes, that is a very, very good question. So we are talking about problem solving in AI, but we're utilizing more of a positive aspect on it. So we're in problem solving is where we identify the problem and analyze causes and analyze the possible solutions and action plans and generally seeing it as what's in the way of what I want. This usually provokes more discouragement and resistance. In AI, it's appreciating and valuing the best of what is, what might be, and what should be and will be. It assumes that the problem is a mystery to be discovered. It's usually seen as what ultimately want. It's possibility thinking. So it's not resistance thinking. It's more of what is the possibilities of this future, looking at a problem in a different light. So that's actually a really good question, because I was all looking at it too. I was like, okay, what is the difference versus AI and problem solving? It's more of taking a positive twist to it and looking at the positives of a problem instead of looking at ultimately why is it there and why is this happening? It's a very good question.
Thank you. Okay, so this next question comes with so this next question is that they would the one of the audience members would like to revisit the 5D cycle, but with an example. So this participant is working on an exercise goal. They're trying to increase their movement. And they were wondering if you could share your slides again with the 5D cycle, but speak in an example, whether it's exercise or something else, lifestyle medicine oriented, so they can get a feel for how to use an example with the 5D cycle.
Yes, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. So this is the 5D cycle again. Very awesome. All right. So utilizing or creating movement is what I'm hearing, is getting the exercise into your daily routine. So you're defined. So you've already defined that's my goal. I want to get or create movement within my daily structure or routine. And then, so you got that. And so now discovering. So recognizing and valuing and celebrating. So looking in your past, or looking when you actually did exercise, what did that look like? What did that feel like? What did you do that was different? What did the energy do for you? What did it look like for your environment? Did you have weights already? Did you go to class? Did you have people you went with? So it's discovering the positive. It's not discovering, okay, where did I end? Why did I end it? This came up and I lost track. It's looking at when was my best self and how did I achieve it then to actually carry those positives into the future. So then you take it into the dream phase. So it's dreaming. So it's really acknowledging, okay, what is going to be my best self if I acknowledge that I need to get exercise in my daily routine, and what does that look like? How am I going to feel? How am I going to do it? What am I going to do it? Is how I'm going to either change my energy? Is it going to help with longevity? Is it going to help me keep up in my daily life? Is it going to help with positive mental fitness? Is it going to really impact overall lifestyle changes in my overall life? And what does that actually look like? How is it going to feel internally and externally? And so when you have the dream and the expectations and like this is going to work for me, then you go into the design phase. This is really designing how you're going to make it possible within your own daily life. How are you going to create this goal? We utilize SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timelined, and really creating a design to make that dream become true. So it's designing that dream. So creating more of a physical activity or exercise in your daily life is going to create that destiny for you with the design. So you're going to either, let's just say, for example, you're going to exercise 3 times per week, going to the gym, walking for 30 minutes, and then how are you going to do that? I'm going to put my shoes right next to the door. I'm going to put an alarm setting on my phone. I'm going to tell my partner that I'm going for a run, or my family, or go if you have a dog running with that. So really designing and brainstorming and aligning that choice around your dream so you can understand, and it's actually looking back at your dream, okay, does this design really impact my dream that I really want to go after? And then it sets you up for the destiny. So it's experimenting and learning and integrating. So it's taking that design and really focusing on it and really designing it around how can it really work? And really the destiny is the experience. Is it working for you? If it's not, what do you need to change about it? Is it need to be more defined? Is it too rigid? Is there a little bit more freedom around that? And really creating that destiny for you so you can actually see it in fluidity. And remember, if the destiny isn't fitting the design or the dream, you can always work backwards. You can go back to the discovery phase. Or like, okay, so the exercise is working, but it's not exactly where my passion or dream is going to be. So I need to take it back to discover and kind of reformat it. So it's a cyclical energy and an effect for you as well. So it's really taking that idea, and we utilize this in coaching as well, and understanding that it is understandable that things don't work out, but you're going to look at it in a positive frame. Remember, everything is a learning cue, and everything is important about the possibilities in that. So that's a really, hopefully that answered your question. That's a really great question.
Okay, we have another one. Um, this participant says, I'm a big dreamer, so sometimes I have a hard time not trying to jump all the way to the finish line. Can you tell us a little bit about how to remain realistic while dreaming?
Ooh, yes, of course. So in the dream phase, I'm a huge dreamer also. So when you're dreaming and you can go in flights of fancy and just kind of just dream big, you have to really make sure that it's aligned with what you can do right now in this moment, what resources you have, who do you have around you, what's your experiences, and kind of understand, okay, I have this wonderful big dream and I can dream the biggest as I want, but I want to make sure that it's realistic. And that's where the design phase kind of comes in. It kind of helps you fortify your dream a little bit to making sure it's not too lofty, but also understanding that it needs to be designed enough so you can actually create strategies and goals around it to help you successfully achieve the destiny. So it's fine to be a huge dreamer, but it's making sure, is that dream really affecting where you want to go in the discovery phase and how you defined it as well. You can always go back to the dream, and it's taking the dream and you can break it down into pieces, and where it's really effective is the define and discovery phase, so you can actually understand, is it really impacting you? And is the dream going to always be there? Yes. So remember, your dreams can always be there, but it's taking the dream and looking at it as scope of like, what do I want to achieve now? And then, of course, keeping the dream alive. I love that saying, going forth, but taking little aspects of it to create more realistic goals or a positive future. So don't forget about your dreams. It's just taking it one piece at a time. So I completely understand. So hopefully that answered your question.
Okay, next up, how does looking at the positive in the future impact the present?
So when we look at positive in the future, it's looking at the positive in the future, even a specific image or positive dynamics of the helps create the positive dynamics in the present. Forgive me. It's taking the more concrete, the real of the image is, and the more movement it creates. So when you take a look at the positive in the past, it's going to help present more of a positive in the future. So it's taking those little voices or those little gremlins that you hear about certain things about your past and really looking through the scope of it and finding the fine line of positivity to help you really nourish the 5D cycle or the philosophies of AI, and really pumping it into where you want to go with your goals or positive future. It's imbuing the present with visionary messages that match by visionary behaviors. I was like, I love that because it's taking that idea around the looking at the positive, because sometimes we can really relish in the past and what didn't work, but using AI, you're relishing in the past by utilizing the positivity of what you learned, even though it's maybe hard to find it, and utilizing it to propel yourself within to the future of a positive future. So that's a really good question. I had to be like, okay, why do we want to look at the positive past in our future to help present that? So that was a really good question. Thank you.
Okay, so next, this question is about someone sharing that they are very hard on themselves when goals don't materialize exactly as planned. And they are guessing that the positive core might help with that challenge. Could you go a little bit more in depth into how to use the positive core when we're being hard on ourselves?
Yes. All right. So I completely understand when goals don't come to fruition or the goals just don't work out the way you want them to. I completely understand that. And it's taking the idea of one, being gentle on yourself and having self-compassion, because sometimes goals, when we set expectations upon them that may be a little bit far into where they need to actually be, and then taking those ones and going, okay, I'm going to be gentle, I'm going to have self-compassion, I'm going to take this goal, I'm going to look at it. I know it didn't come to where I wanted it to be, but there's something positive to look at it. So it's really looking at it and going, okay, it didn't happen. It's all right. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. What worked in this goal that I can utilize to really format it in a way that's going to help me in the future or the next steps? It's really identifying the goal itself, because goals sometimes fail upon either the expectations we set on them or some kind of strategies or things that we didn't really align with the goal to help hopefully successfully launch it into a positive manner. So it's taking the positive core, taking a look at it. Okay, this goal, what is it? What didn't work, what did work, and taking what did work and utilizing that to propel yourself into the positive core. And of course, you can take a look at what didn't work, but we don't want to relish in that state, because we can't affect what didn't work. Maybe we can, but we can most definitely utilize what did work and really modify it in a way that helps us really stay positive. And once we start telling ourselves, okay, this is what did work in the goal. All right, I feel like I did work on that. What can I utilize from that to propel myself into more of a positive future with this goal? So it's really taking that and putting that in the center and the designing and defining itself around the 5D cycle to really understand how this goal can be either modified, changed. Maybe it's not serving you right now. Maybe there's another goal that needs to be identified first, because we're always learning and we're always growing. Remember the destiny, it's about experimenting and learning and integrating what we've learned, the positive and what we didn't learn, but not relishing in the past or what didn't work about the goal. So I understand when goals don't work, you kind of want to like give up and kind of go, okay, I don't want to do that. But give it a chance and look at it in a new light of positivity and try to find what did work and utilize that to propel you into a positive future. And remember, all goals can be modified and changed in a way that is going to hopefully and helpfully launch you into more of a positive future aspect. So keep going. Goals are there for a reason. And of course you want to feel it, and it's always about a why behind the goal. Why do you want to achieve this goal? And is it important enough? Some say that goals should make you cry. I say goals should make you feel passionate, and no matter what it is, it should be able to launch you into a positive future, and you'll get there. And if you don't, keep modifying and formatting the goal until you feel that there is some success. Remember, there is successes, either big or small, are still success. So keep going with the goal of whatever it may be. And remember, stay in a positive frame, even during the aspect of goals, and kind of write the positives down as you go through the goal itself. Hopefully that answered your question.
Okay, we have another question here. So this panelist was noticing that several times in our discussion so far, you've brought up the health and wellness coaching program, a part of our healthy lifestyle program. And they were curious if you could speak a little bit more about how, so this participant has heard about the coaching program, but hasn't tried the coaching program yet. And they were interested to hear about how a coach might use the AI approach or other sort of frames. They would love to hear just a little bit more about the coaching program from you, Anthony.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh my goodness. Yes, this is huge. So thank you so much for asking. So um, I myself and Katie, and we have some other lovely coaches in the program, do one-on-one sessions with our patients, and we utilize the training that we have all gone through to really help you understand lifestyle changes in a personal, most intrinsic and an extrinsic level. And we utilize the 5D cycle or parts of it, our appreciative inquiry within the processes of the sessions that we meet with our patients. That can be about 6 to 10 sessions, depending on the length of the program. And what we do is we take our time within these sessions to really break down your goals. First, we start with understanding who you are, what brings you to the coaching program, and what brings you to the environment, because sometimes it is a little hard to ask for help, but this is why we are here for you. We identify a wellness vision just to really understand the why and what you're envisioning. It's kind of really the dream aspect of AI. So it's just really understanding the passion and the drive around it. And then what we do is we try to partner with you. And remember, this is for you. You set the stage. We're just there as guides, and you set where you want to go and how you want to get there. And we ask questions and inquiries just to really help you think differently. And sometimes not differently. Sometimes you really can understand an idea, and we learn from you, and we go forth with that. And then we break those down into 3-month goals and to other goals, smaller ones. That's going to be the design phase. So that's really creating more of SMART goals, as you've heard me mention before. And we do that with every session, and we kind of help you identify the positives and really helping you stay within the positive frame. What did work? How did you get there? If you feel like it didn't work, what didn't work, and understanding that every positive is a positive in anything that happens. And as our health and wellness coaches, we are trained to utilize different modalities and theories within the processes that we learn, but we don't necessarily say it, but we're actually guiding and understanding and helping you throughout the processes. But remember, this health and wellness coaching is all about you. We don't tell you what to do. You set the stage, and we are there with you within this journey. So we utilize the 5D cycle or AI or the trans-theoretical model or things you may have heard before, but those are just tools that we ultimately help you on your journey within the health and wellness coaching program and the healthy lifestyles program itself too, which is great. So, and by going to a program and I know Katie will talk about that, you get access to free health and wellness coaching by attending one of the healthy lifestyles program within the lifestyle medicine. So it's absolutely amazing. We have wonderful coaches. They are dear to me, and we are all trained as health and wellness coaches. So we will most definitely be utilizing some of the same tools, but we all come at it in a different angle and have our own ideas and things, but we're all centered in the training that we've had to really understand and help guide with you. Ultimately, you set the stage, which is wonderful. So I love health and wellness coaching. It's a passion of mine, and I know my other fellow coaches have the same passion as I do. So that's why we're here for you. Good question. I could go on.
I love this. We're getting some coaching content in here. It's one of our goals with these webinars is to give a little bit more information about our health and wellness coaching program. Okay, next up, Anthony, we got questions coming. We're going to keep doing a few more. All right, next, I have a lot I want to do. Eat healthier, exercise more, and lose weight. Is it helpful to break these into individual AI cycles? Or can you use the cycle for multiple goals at once?
Ooh, okay. So you're having a lot to do. I'm hearing that you eat healthier, you want to exercise more, and you want to lose weight. And you're asking if breaking these down into individual AI cycles, you can, or can you use use the AI cycle for multiple goals at once? So I would ultimately say, of course, it's up to you where you want to go, but if I could make a recommendation, I would take what would you feel would be the most impactful for you at this time and in this moment, and taking that one goal and then breaking it down in the AI. And sometimes when you do that, some of these other goals, of course, will be in there, but it's taking the one that is the most important to you and breaking it down within the AI cycles. You can have multiple goals if you'd like, but you want to remember that it's not too far-fetching or too big that you're focusing on really big goals all at the same time. It's really identifying where you want to go and which goal would would ultimately get you there to your dream or your destiny. So it's taking the one you truly feel that you want to work on, breaking it down into the 5D cycle and really understanding it. And if, of course, if you feel like, okay, I got this one in lock in the 5D cycle, I feel like I'm making traction, then of course you can move on to another goal and break that down. But it's really making sure that you're not having too many goals up in the air, that you become dispassionate or frustrated, or you don't know which goal to really focus on. It's taking one and really understanding and breaking it down into a process that you feel confident and comfortable and passionate about before you move on to the next goal. So it's really identifying really you want to go. And when you're utilizing the 5D cycle, if you kind of lose steam, or if you kind of like, okay, this is not really where I want to go, then it's going back to another goal you might have. And that's probably where you would see some traction and some passion. It's really where you feel it inside, is the internal feelings that you have about a goal will most definitely help you push forward. So it's up to you, of course, in health and wellness coaching, but we understand that sometimes having a lot of goals, some patients do, but we try to help you understand, okay, each goal has its own energy, and we want to make sure that it's set and ready for you and able to move through the 5D cycle, let's just say, in a pace that you feel driven and passionate about before you jump to the next goal. But of course, it's most definitely up to you, and we are there with you on that journey. That's a good question.
Okay, next question. One of the panelists was, one of the participants was reacting to how in the 5D cycle, there's that recycling pattern of sometimes revisiting different steps. And they wanted to specifically ask, does that mean it's okay if our changes are nonlinear? Is it okay to do that recycling when we're pursuing change?
Of course. So change can be linear and not. So change can most definitely happen when things are either changing internally or externally, and it's okay to ebb and flow, but you want to make sure that you're really taking a look at what made you kind of jump back. Let's just say you're in the destiny phase, and all of a sudden you go back to the design phase, and then you suddenly go back to destiny and go back to design. So you can go back and forth, but it's understanding and learning from the ebbs and the flows. So once you're recognizing the ebbs and the flows and why you're jumping back and forth or moving forward, as long as you're learning from those and understanding why those are happening, and understanding, okay, change is going to happen, and change is going to most definitely influence the 5D cycle. It's understanding why is the change is happening if you're having to move back or forward too, and seeing those in a positive frame and understanding that is going to happen. It's in health and wellness coaching. Change is going to happen, and we understand that life happens as well. And so the 5D cycle is a tool. It's not going to be the thing set in stone. Remember, it's a guide. It's going to help guide you, and it's going to help you ebb and flow, but understanding why you keep bouncing back and forth, and really taking a look at that and having self-compassion and understanding, okay, this is why I jumped back. Do I have influence over the change? And if I do not, and if I do, what could I do to really keep that in lock or kind of understand it so I can move forward into the 5D cycle? And make sure to understand that change is going to happen. Like, I can't stress that enough. Change is going to happen, but remembering change is neither good or bad. It's a learning experience. And remember to learn from the change always when going through the 5D cycle will help propel you into the cycle itself, and always coming back to the positive core of the positive framework around the reasons why you're defining that goal itself.
That is all of our questions, Anthony, but I did just get a comment that the one of the audience members really appreciated that we spent so much time on questions. So it was more of a discussion. So I wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the questions.
Great. Okay. Well, we are going to transition to some closing items. So let me share my screen again here. Okay, so I just put into the chat a link to our feedback survey. We would love to hear your feedback on today's webinar. So if you navigate to the menu bar on your Zoom and open up the chat, you can click on our feedback survey link. And we're going to give you a little bit of time because we have some promotions coming up. But we encourage you to click on the link now to launch the window so that when the Zoom closes, you have that. We would love to hear from you. We're going to be asking you feedback if you have ideas for future webinar topics. We're going to be offering these more and more frequently. So we'd love to hear what topics would interest you. And then I just want to highlight that once you submit the feedback form, it's going to navigate to an option to sign up for our Healthy Lifestyle Program quarterly email list, where we'll be promoting all sorts of things coming up with our program webinars, virtual group visits. So we really would love to share that information with you if you'd like that delivered to your inbox. And then we want to highlight our next webinar coming up. So we have Rachel Milstein is going to be presenting our next webinar Thursday, September 28th from 11 to noon. The topic is going to be staying connected, maintaining social support and connections as we age. Rachel Milstein is a clinical psychologist and has a number of roles listed here at MGH. She's involved in the Cancer Center for Lifestyle Medicine, the home-based program at MGH, and the MGH Cardiac Psychiatry Research Program. We're really excited to hear from her on one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine that is just as important as exercise and healthy eating, but sometimes we think about this less, but it's very important for physical health to be connected. The link is going to be the same as today, no sign up required, just like today's webinar. The link is always the same for our webinars, so it's listed here, but however you got to us today, the link will be the same on Thursday, September 28th. And then lastly, I'm going to do one more link in the chat here. So just post. Oh, okay. Okay, so the last link that is in the chat, I do want to direct everybody to our MGH Healthy Lifestyle Program website because we're going to highlight in a moment some upcoming lifestyle medicine virtual group visit, but we're just going to cover some highlights. If you navigate to our website, you can see our full online schedule of lifestyle medicine virtual group visits that are offered. So this is going to be a sprinkling of things that are coming up, but the website has more information, that full calendar, and details about health and wellness coaching and many of the other features of our program. So I'm going to read the fine print here. To access lifestyle medicine virtual group visits, you do need to have an MGH primary care provider. As long as you have a primary care provider as your physician, you have access to the lifestyle medicine virtual group visits. All of these visits, we do book them as medical shared appointments. They're all running an hour. We're going to go over today a couple that are 4-part series and some one-off offerings. And you must be physically in Massachusetts at the time of the visit. And virtual group visits are medical visits that are billed to your insurance, standard deductible, and co-payment charges apply. So I'm going to go through these highlights here. Just as a teaser, again, more on the website. The first two in green are both 4-part series offerings, so 4 one-hour group visits over a 8-week period. And these are focused on managing hypertension with lifestyle medicine. You must have for the hypertension series a diagnosis of high blood pressure. And this offering is a 4-part virtual group visit that's focused on lowering blood pressure through healthy lifestyle changes. These visits take place every 2 weeks over an 8-week period, and you and the other patients in the group will learn about what blood pressure is, why it's important to lower it, and how healthy lifestyle changes can lower your blood pressure. And the most exciting part about this program is many patients in the past have reduced or been able to stop some of their blood pressure medications because of improvements seen during the series. So we've got 2 offerings, but many more to come, and more on the website. Today we're highlighting on this slide, we have a series coming up Tuesdays at 3:30 with Dr. Morris, running October 3rd, October 10th, October 31st, and November 14th. And then we have Dr. Sarah Matithia hosting this Thursdays at 9:15 starting October 5th, running October 19th, November 2nd, and November 16th. And then the next 2 are also part of our 4-part series offerings. So the next 2 are brain care. And the brain care, just to give the description, is a program developed in partnership with the MGH McCain Center for Brain Health. It's a 4-part virtual group series focusing on preventing brain disease through healthy lifestyle change. Many people don't realize that anxiety, depression, strokes, and dementia can be prevented. In this program, we explore the science of brain disease and the connection between healthy lifestyle factors such as exercise and nutrition and how they relate to brain disease. You'll also receive a personalized brain care score, which is useful in helping you to understand how your own lifestyle factors impact your risk for brain disease. So we've got highlighted on the slide, and again, more than this is offered on the website. We've got a 4-part series coming up with Dr. Mirsky, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. from October 4th through October 18th, November 8th, November 15th. And then another series starting Dr. Hu from Mondays at 1 p.m., October 16th, 30th, November 13th, and November 27th. And then in yellow, we have a sample of 3 of our offerings in the one-time, sort of one-off virtual group visit. So this would be a 1-hour, one-time session. We have Intro to Stress. We're always offering Intro to Stress and Intro to Nutrition, but this one will be offered Monday, September 18th at 5:30 with Dr. Mirsky. Many more dates on the full calendar. We also have a nutrition-oriented group with Dr. Jella, What About Sugar, Friday, October 6th at 10:30 a.m. And then lastly, also with Dr. Jella, we have the science of fasting, autophagy, and the microbiome, Friday, October 27th at 10:30 a.m. Again, if you have a primary care physician within the MGH network, to schedule after today's webinar, you could call this number at the bottom of the slide, 781-485-6400, or on our website, it has more information on how to connect with our program. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing so that Anthony and I can say goodbye. We really thank you for joining this webinar, and we hope you can join us in September and with some of our other offerings coming up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and I hope to see you in other sessions. Thank you so much. Have a great day.